The House just passed a bill with huge cuts to Medicare and Medicaid. Giant fallout. The bill was called One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which of course includes a tax cut for the wealthiest Americans here in the US. The wealthiest Americans here in the US just got a tax cut. That cut is enabled by the billions of dollars cut to Medicaid. I don't know how people voted for this. This was outlined in Project 2025. We told people this would happen, and it has now happened. We are now living that. What do you all have to say for yourselves?
So I have a question. I work with the homeless population, and I know for a fact that we still have plenty of veterans who are homeless and also U.S. citizens that are homeless. So I wonder how it makes you feel knowing that instead of getting services for the vets and for the U.S. citizens, that this administration has now welcomed white South Africans, and they're going to get all kinds of help from the government. And I want to know, for those who are cheering the horrific deportation or kidnapping, because really that's all it is kidnapping, because there's no court orders, and these people are just grabbing people off the street. They're not identifying themselves. It's horrific. So that's my question. What does everybody think about the fact that now our government is bringing refugees from South Africa? And he said something along the lines of they have a rich, long history of all that they've done, and now the way that they're being treated is horrific. So I want to know, the American farmers here that have lost their farms, are those going to these refugees? Are they going to give those farms to the refugees? The people who lost their family farms. So that's my question. What do we think?
I'm tired. I'm so tired of the United States. It's so ghetto, and every day gets a little bit harder to function. I'm talking about, I don't understand how I am struggling in these United States and I make decent money. I don't do anything. I don't have debt. I put myself through school. Again, I put myself through school, and I owe the IRS every year. I own my own home. My car is paid off. I don't go out. I don't have friends. I'm a loner. There's a few people I talk to. I don't understand. I have no debt. There's no debt I have, you guys. I don't owe anybody. I'm just trying to understand, how am I struggling? I make decent money. I put money to the side for retirement, and then everything else is for bills. How am I struggling? I live below my means. I stopped buying clothes. I stopped buying shoes and all of these fancy things. I don't go out. I don't purchase unnecessary items. I am no longer a consumer, because when I was a consumer, it did me no good. I have all of these things and nothing to show for it, right? So I stopped buying things, right? And I'm trying to understand, how am I struggling? When I was buying things, I felt like I was doing good. And now that I'm not buying things, I feel like I'm struggling. How does this work in these United States? I don't understand. I live below my means. The only expense I would say I would have is I do my own hair and I go get my nails and my feet done every 2 weeks, right? That's it. I'm trying to understand how my grocery bill goes from $400 a month to $1,000 a month. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to understand how my electric bill goes from $155 to $800 in 1 month. No past due balance. I'm just trying to understand. I'm trying to understand how my internet goes from $75 to $140. And that is the lowest plan. I don't understand. I'm not processing these United States. And I make decent money. Okay. I make decent money. And I saw a video today where a girl said that she makes $100,000 a year. And after taxes, she brings home about $70,000 and she's struggling. And I'm like, baby, if you're struggling, then I'm poor.
I am so tired of feeling helpless as a parent. Yes, my kids are grown adults. My oldest is 28, my youngest is 25. And I thought by teaching them what I learned, which is you work hard, you get a good job, you're going to get the things in life that you need, right? Worked for me. Why wouldn't it work for them? Because it doesn't. Because the world has fucking changed, all right? And now I feel like I see them struggling. And before my generation comes at me, yes, I understand struggling is a part of life. We all struggled. But there's a difference between struggling and drowning, all right? So we struggled and it was tough. But you know what? We made it. We knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel with our struggle. It seems like kids today, no matter how much they struggle, they just get further and further down the water into the drowning point, all right? When I was their age, I was making less than $10 an hour. And I could afford to live on my own. Now you have to be making 6-figure salary to get a decent, tiny little place to live. So what the fuck is going on and how do we help them as parents? I told my son, all you have to do is work hard, go to college or join the military like I did. He went to college, got his degree, got a full-time job. He moved back in with me right when he graduated from college because he said, hey, Mom, as soon as I get a job, which was within 2 weeks of him getting out of college, maybe take me 2 months and I'll save up enough money for me to move out. Okay, cool. It's been 10 months. He has saved almost every dime and still can't afford to live. Why are 1-bedroom studio apartments almost $2,000 a month? Why? Like, I just don't get it. So I don't even think that there's even classes anymore. There used to be, upper class, middle class, lower class. It's literally turning into the ultra wealthy and then everybody else is just poor. Like, that's what is happening. And then I told him, hey, when you turn 25, at least your car insurance will go down. Hell no, he turned 25 and his car insurance went up $150. I tell him, if you need health insurance, get a good job. He has health insurance. He has had a medical emergency this week. Had to go to an emergency room twice. He had to go to the emergency room because he couldn't get anybody to see him with the health insurance that he had, right? So he had to go to an emergency room. Now he's out money for that too. It seems like you can never get ahead. And then my daughter, I told her all you have to do because she wanted to buy her own house. My daughter worked 6 days a week, 12 hours a day to save up enough for this down payment. Finally got this house. She's paying double what I'm paying for my mortgage, but her loan was the same amount. And then her mortgage company, after she's already moved in, said, oh, by the way, we forgot to tell you that you need this type of coverage, which we forgot in the beginning. That's an extra $200 you've been paying a month. And all they see when they come home is they watch social media, kids their age, on lavish vacations with all this money and nothing to do, all these social media influencers, because we value those types of things over hard workers. We will pay them $10,000, but you work 40 hours a week, you can't afford it.
Yeah, mortgage payment's going to be late again. I always try to figure out, do I pay the electric and the fuel and the groceries and the overdue credit card bill and the cable bill, or do I pay the mortgage payment that's already late, and then everything else is going to be late, and then there's going to be interest and fees tacked on? What are you supposed to do? I mean, can people work 3-4 jobs? I physically can't do it. I'm 49 years old and I'm fucking exhausted. Where's the light at the end of the tunnel? I don't understand what to do anymore. My mortgage payment's always late. They give you a 15-day grace period, thank God. But then you go past the 15th and you got a big, late fee. And that's the problem I have. You pay it past the end of the grace period, and then you're like, thank God I finally paid it, right? But then you realize it's due again. And now you're back, you're behind, you're just like, you feel like you're drowning in water, like when you can't swim and you're in a lake and you can't keep your head above water. Every day, just struggling to survive, struggling to get through, struggling to live another day. Thank God I got my family and my kids. I don't know what I'd do without them.
Welcome everybody to my channel. So today we are diving into what's on the minds of Americans as President Trump navigates his second term in 2025. There's been a lot of buzz about his policies, from immigrations to economy, and even some international moves, like the recent controversial of refugee program for white South Africans. But what are the big issues Trump's likely to tackle, instead of focusing on things like the South African situation? Let's break down into quick 10 minutes videos rundown based on what Americans are talking about right now. You should grab a coffee and let's get started. So we are going to base our video on the videos that we've actually seen. And these are typical Americans are raising their views and trying to show or to air their frustrations. So many people, there's a video of actually homeless people gathered along the streets as they watch the refugees going to be handed house, to be given shelters. Bear in mind, these are people who left 5-bedroom apartment, as one of the gentlemen said. He left a 5-bedroom house in South Africa, to come and being given a house, as many of the Americans who are actually homeless stand in the highway, in the pathway, as they watch these white South African refugees being given houses. So there are many issues that Trump could be handling, instead of just focusing on South African issues, which has raised a global buzz, and both the Americans, white and black, both the South Africans, white and black, are talking. And in a way of Trump to justify his points, he went ahead and airing the videos, showing the South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, the videos of which he ended up showing the wrong things and explaining the wrong things than what is actually happening in South Africa. And there was a perfect reply to that, and that was who? This gentleman by the name Julius Malema, who actually produced the perfect reply. If you haven't watched the video, kindly watch my previous video. So first up, let's talk about the economy. If you've been on social media or talking to friends, Americans are still feeling the pinch from inflation, high gas prices, and rising cost of everyday stuff like groceries and rent. And many Americans are actually not being able to afford houses, groceries. Like what this lady is just saying, she's living debt free, but still she's barely surviving. Her rent, her grocery has just risen up. There's a gentleman whose video I think I watched, where this gentleman went ahead to actually rent a storage unit and convert it to his house where he'll be sleeping, and he was saying he feels like it's an achievement. So in a country where there are so many homelessness, the cost of living is so high, I think Trump should be focusing on other issues, other African issues. He's commander of, I think, African Affairs, General Langley. He received strong criticism, by trying to actually attack the Burkina Faso president, So post on X, there was a post on X which showed a lot of folks want Trump to deliver his promises to boost job, cut taxes, and make my life more affordable. You know, in his campaign, Trump talked about slashing regulation to help business grow and bring manufacturing back to the US. He has also pushed for tariffs, on imports to protect American workers, but some worry that could drive prices up even more. The Walmart actually announced, the increase in price of its items that they are selling. And what did Trump say? Trump said Walmart, I think, should eat the taxes, the tariffs. So we have major issues that we are tackling as America, or as that one America is facing, than rather focusing on idea of other foreign issues. We saw like he tried, like the issue of bringing the manufacturing industries back to America is actually not working. He tried to actually force Apple to bring the manufacturing back to the production of iPhones back to America. And I think Tim Cook just felt this man needs to be cooked. That clip of let him cook. So Tim Cook felt like moving to India will be more favorable. So the idea of making America great again, it's needed. The economy must be top priority for Trump, and Americans are still watching, to see if Trump can make good on his American First economic plan. But it seems the first 100 days it has failed, apart from maybe deportation. I think the one thing that Trump is over-delivering is the issue of immigration, or illegal immigration, of which is affecting both the Americans and non-Americans. You've seen many of the American citizens being deported back. Deported to I don't know where, So the immigration and border security is the huge topic right now. Trump made headlines with his aggressive immigration policies, like declaring a national emergencies at the US-Mexico border and promising mass deportations, of which I think that is where he actually overworking. On X, some Americans are cheering. They're saying it's about time to crack down illegal immigrations. Others are concerned about families being separated or the impact to their communities. Trump also suspended most refugees programs, except for a small group of white South Africans. So Trump suspended most of refugee programs, except for a small group of white South Africans, which landed in America, and they've made the internet goes to a buzz. They've broken the internet. The bigger focus seems to be on tightening the southern borders, deploying troops, and rolling back programs like temporary protection status for folks from places like Haiti and Venezuela. Immigration is a hot button issue, and it's clear Trump is doubling down here. So this is one of the many things that, many things that Trump is delivering, apart from delivering suffering to many of the Americans right now. Another issue Americans are bustling about is crime and public safety. From big cities to small towns, people are talking about feeling of less safe, whether it's due to violent crimes or concern about the law enforcement. Trump promised to back police and put tough measures or penalties on criminals. So somewhere on X, you'll see posts from folks who want stronger law and older policies, while others are calling for reforms to address systematic issues in policing. And I think in terms of security, the most people who also are overperforming are the ICE agents. Yeah, literally, I'll say the ICE agents are overperforming because these guys, they're using excessive force, going to people's home. They're using excessive force, knocking down things. They're using excessive force, breaking people's car. So instead of focusing on this issue of genocide in South Africa, how about school shooting in America? Where is that? Where did America go wrong there? Can somebody tell me what are the gas prices currently in America? How is the energy, in America? So is the gas prices fairly okay, or are they up? So let's talk about energy. So gas prices and energy costs are always on Americans' minds, especially when filling up the tank or paying the electricity bill or electric bill. Trump has been vocal about boosting American independence, thinking oil, gas, maybe even coal. He has already moved to roll back environmental regulations from previous administration, which he says status energy product, which he says it stifles energy production. Some Americans are thrilled, hoping this means lower prices for pumps. Others worry about the environmental impacts, pushing for more renewable energies like wind and solar. So energy policies like balancing act, Trump's likely to prioritize, or it should be prioritized, and deregulating over green initiatives. So we will see when this war started, or tariff war started with countries like Canada. We saw Ontarian governor threatening to shut down electricity to supply that is being supplied in America, and many people were worried. It means that the electric prices rose up. So I want to know, how are the electric bills right now? Let's zoom out on foreign policies and trade. So while Trump made waves or moves with the waves of cutting aid to most countries, like he cut aid to South Africa, and in the move offering refugee status to Afrikaners, more Americans wants him to actually be focused on bigger global, or not to focus on bigger global issues, but actually focus on making American life better. For example, the trade war with China, which was a big issue last month, I guess, and currently, Trump trying to push for tariffs back and forth in order to bring manufacturing back home to America. But this one meant higher prices for consumers. The fact that the fact that many goods are sourced in China, it brings the cost. It's like usually it's lower compared to things that are made in America. For example, the motor or vehicle, or the motor car, or the auto industries. The American-made auto, the American-made auto and the China-made, people are going back to China. They prefer taking things from China because of the prices. you know. So these push and push cause prices to go up, you know. You know, and the tough stances with allies, you know, and adversaries are like pulling back from international committee of of rethinking about NATO. So there are issues. You know, first, I think Trump pulled out of World Health Organization. Trump closed down the Voice of America. Trump is thinking about closing many African embassies, you know, in a move to actually cut, you know, federal workers outside of the Americans that are working outside the country. Some folks praise this as putting American first, you know, while others worry it could stain relationship with the key partners. So
Yes. Yes.
So people are they want Trump to actually focus on good partnerships with the more foreign countries in order to bring that American, you know, expectation, the American supremacy back. Let's talk about the healthcare system.
Okay, guys, I want somebody to tell me that I'm wrong. They extended the Trump tax cuts from 2017 and they made them permanent. Okay? That's what's in this big, beautiful bill. They also gave them a $4.2 trillion tax cut. Remember, that's the one, the magic number everybody was talking about. They gave that to him. They also increased defense spending and they also increased homeland security spending, while at the same time gutting Medicaid, gutting SNAP, gutting clean energy, cutting Medicare and veterans benefits. I want to go back to the tax cuts. They made the 2017 tax cuts permanent, right? That was $1.5 trillion. They have put in effect an additional $4.2 trillion in tax cuts for the rich. Guys, that's almost $6 trillion. That's almost $6 fucking trillion in tax cuts for the rich. Somebody tell me I'm wrong. Somebody please tell me that he's not giving the rich a $6 trillion tax cut and making us fucking pay for it. Please tell me that's not what's going on here. You better, if this is the case, then y'all better fucking blow up their lines today. Mike Johnson has authorized almost a $6 trillion tax cut for the rich.
This has been recent discussion, you know, especially after the passing of the big beautiful bill or the big ugly bill, which made that there were like, you know, cut funding to Medicaid. You know, these medical insurance, kind of medical insurance that cater for majority of Americans who can't afford to pay their own insurance. You know, the healthcare system has been affected mostly. You know, Americans were complaining about the cost of prescription drugs, the cost of actually visiting doctors. And I think one of the executive orders or Trump tasked, I think he tasked the RFK Jr. to actually negotiate with many of the drug companies to actually slash down most cost of these American prescription or prescribed drugs. But overall, Trump overall But in overall, the American healthcare system is still in complex, or is a complex issues, and America are eager to see solution, to see drugs that don't break their bank. His first term, I think he tried to talk about the same thing, but it received a lot of objections from the doctors, from the companies that manufacture drugs. But in general, the healthcare system has been, has been punctured, has been, poked. And I feel that Americans needs Trump to actually do more on that sector. All right.